Hello everyone, my name is Jake, and welcome back to another video. I did not mean to press that, but we are going to be going over, during the federal focus, the California elections which are coming up, June 2nd. Now, just to give you an overview, these are the primaries, however, these are still very important, okay, because these are open primaries, which basically means that all the candidates are on the same one, so Democrat, Republicans, same field, and the top two advance, which makes this very weird because sometimes you can have two Democrats advance and just knock out the Republicans, which will be an important thing, which I will be talking about later. But there's something called a lockout, which is just an overview, where you just lock out the other party. This is possible in these elections, and they're very interesting, but they're also very controversial. The first one we will be going over is the Los Angeles mayor. Now, usually, 95% of the time, Los Angeles is Democrat. It's still Democrat this time. However, the reason I want to talk about this is because it's actually very competitive. So Karen Bass is the incumbent mayor, and her approval ratings are currently 19%. Well, that's actually not. Never mind. Her approval ratings are 24% minus 57. So she's not popular, but she is a Democrat, so it's still looking pretty good for her. However, there's two notable people who are running. You have Spencer Pratt, who is basically he's not an influencer, but he's a reality television person. He is an independent, but he's going with the Republicans. He's basically the Republican candidate. This is a nonpartisan race, so they don't have any labels, which is good. He's really the Republican candidate. The reason he's running is because his house got burned down during the fire, and people are not happy with Bass's performance during that. That's really the main issue here, is the house situation, because it is not good at all. And you also have a Democrat going against her. No idea how to pronounce her name, but one thing which is interesting here is that they have actually appeared, the incumbent Bass and her have really appeared together. Now, I'm not a conspiracy person, but this is definitely a conspiracy theory. I think she is running solely to make sure Spencer Pratt does not make it to this final round. And if we go to the polls, you can see it's pretty close. Bass is pretty consistently going to make the final round, but it's very close between Spencer and Tiraman. And if it goes to a second round, this is pretty early. There's a lot of undecided. It would probably almost certainly be Bass, but there's an outside chance that Pratt has a slight chance to even boost Republican turnout enough for some of the House races, and that's really the main issue here. The reason why Bass wants Rahman to get to the second round, I'm sorry for pronouncing the name wrong, is to drum down Republican support for the actual elections, which would be in November, because they would not be enthusiastically voting for Pratt. And they would, if they were voting for Pratt, they'd probably be voting Republican, which means they wouldn't show up, and it really screw a lot of things over. Now, what was I gonna say? Shit, I forgot. So Pratt isn't endorsed by Trump, which I think is very important here. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump endorsed him. If I was Pratt, I would be begging Trump not to endorse him, because there is no way it would work out well. Okay, he's already endorsed by a lot of conservative figures, but Trump is really the main person here. Now, an interesting thing is, I can't really show this, but currently, but a couple weeks ago, like a week ago, early voting was only Democratic by a couple points, which is very interesting because this is California. Now, more recently, it's around plus 10 Democrats because the Democrats have been voting crazy recently in the early votes. However, currently, Republicans are overperforming the early vote by around 10 points. I think it will go to around single digits, but notably, they would probably overperform in the early vote versus 2022, which is very interesting. There's a lot of House races where that will make a difference because there's obviously the gerrymandering early this year. So this is actually going to be interesting. Usually don't say this, but this Los Angeles mayor race is competitive. And you can see the polymarker odds here. This is just for, I think this is, I'm not sure if this is for the first round or whatever, but I'm pretty sure this is just to win it in general. And you can see Pratt has a chance. He's a 20% chance, which I think is pretty surprising considering he's literally a conservative running in Los Angeles, which not known for being Republican. And second, and the last thing I'll be going over is the California governor race. I believe I talked about this maybe a month ago. I said how this is possible the Republicans have a chance here. They don't have a chance anymore. But the still important thing here is that Republicans still have a chance to make the final round, which they did last time, and they need to drum up their support for the general House elections. Keep in mind, this is the same thing as Los Angeles. It's just the primary. Previously, I think I talked about Swalwell dropping out and how that would affect it, and it very much has. You see, a couple months ago, Republicans had a chance to get two people to the finals, but Hilton was endorsed by Trump. There's not really a chance now. So if I was Trump, I would try to get Bianco to drop out or drum up support for Hilton because Hilton has to make the final rounds, or else the House seats are completely ruined because there'd probably not be as much support for the Republicans because there's no one they can vote for in the governor race. You can see it's between this guy and Steyer. Now he on the internet. I'm kind of chronically online, unfortunately, but he's hated by the online left because he has taken a bunch of corporate PAC money, and Steyer is not loved by them. They like him more. But the thing is, he's also a billionaire, so I think that he's gonna take advantage of him being a billionaire. And Hilton's just here. He has just drum up 20% support. Combined, they have around 30 something, which is okay for a Republican. Currently, it's probably gonna be Becker and Hilton, but it's potentially going to also include him, and they are pulling around the same. I think that Hilton will make it, and he'll probably face Xavier, but I don't really know. If Xavier makes it, he'd probably be a moderate Democrat. I may just be completely off on that, but I have been seeing it. I think he would be a moderate Democrat, in my opinion. This is going to be very interesting. Not as interesting as it would be a couple months ago with the Republicans potentially winning the governorship here, but it would still be pretty interesting now. Thank you guys for watching. I got something important to do later. Includes prom.